Hi, and welcome to the second video for Mplus Workshop 1, running Mplus Basic and running Mplus Regression. I have open here SPSS, and the data set I have open is the McNulty SPSS data set. Here you can see that we have 6 variables: the case number, along with attractiveness, support, satisfaction, gender, and the interaction, which is the product of attractiveness times gender. I also have open, if I can find it, there it is. This is a syntax file for the week 1 SPSS. So here I have some comments for it, and I have syntax that produces descriptive statistics, and I have syntax that produces a regression. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight and run those. And this is an out file that you will find in Canvas as well. This represents the output from the descriptive statistics, and that was also in that document. And here's the output for the regression. And you can take a look and see that what the unstandardized coefficients and the significance level were. Now, when I wanted to show you this because this is a very basic model, and I want to make sure that you can see that the output from this model in SPSS is exactly the same when we run it in Mplus. So let's see if I can get there. It's not that easy to flip back and forth. There we go. All right, so now here is the remote desktop, and here's Mplus. This is my syntax file for the regression. As you can see, I have the same data set, and this time I'm saying to use all the variables. I'm saying type equals general instead of type equals basic, and this is my model: support on ATT gender and ATT by XGen. That means that this is support is the dependent variable, and on is kind of like an equal sign, and those are the 3 independent variables. I'm also asking for a plot. I'm also asking for some standardized values. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And we can see that it's telling me that I have 2 variables that I did not use in the model, but I used in my variable statement. And it's probably a good idea for you to not do that, but just in this case, I went ahead and used all the variables. Again, you can check all of your descriptive statistics, and we'll talk about the fits later. Here are the model results, and if I were to compare these to the model results from SPSS, I'm going to get exactly the same results. Now, these are my coefficients, my standard errors, my estimate over the standard errors, and my two-tailed p-values. The intercept is actually in its own line. It also provides the means for these other 2 variables that were not included, and the variances for those as well. And those statistics are provided, they're estimated and provided here. We have standardized, 2 different types of standardized values as well, which we'll talk about at another time. So that concludes the demonstration number 1, running Mplus Basic and just running some syntax in Mplus. And next I'm going to provide some information on preparing your own data, and this is called Mplus demonstration number 2. It's going to be part of this video. Okay, so now let's start with demonstration number 2. I have accessed here the SPSS dataset called kft.save. So in order to get this, you will need to follow the instructions once again for using Mplus on remote desktop, and go to Canvas and download materials for demo number 2 and place all those files in the same folder in My Documents. And if you have access to SPSS, I suggest that you open this data set and then also the syntax. The syntax is called 1_SPSS syntax for recoding missing data and creating an ASCII file for Mplus. That SPV. The syntax file is annotated, and you can follow the steps. Now, this data set comes from the book. Actually, it's on the website, companion website, for data analysis with Mplus by Christian Geiser. This is the data set that contains data from 455 German high school students who were tested with a German intelligence test battery. It's from a publication, Cognitive Abilities Test, KFT, by Heller, Gaedicke, and Weinlater, 1976. And so there are several different measures of intelligence here. These are subtests. Now, as you look at this data set, you can see that there are missing values. And missing values in SPSS generally are shown this way if it's a numeric value, where they have just kind of a period. It's very similar to Excel. But that is not going to work when we try to read this in with for Mplus. And so I'm going to open up the syntax. Okay, so this is the example data set, kft.save. And this set of recode syntax recodes the system-defined missing values into user-defined missing values of -99. Now you could put a dot, you could put something else, but the problem is that Mplus is going to just be very methodical in how it reads the data. From my experience and what I've seen from a lot of other people's suggestions as well, the most effective way to code missing values is by using -99 or sometimes even -999. You don't want to use any code that would show up as a legitimate value for a variable. So you can use this syntax, or you can also use the transform recode into the same variables drop-down menu. In addition, you need to tell SPSS that these are missing value codes, and that's what this line of syntax does. So I am going to run that, and when I do, I go back here and I can see that all those missing values have now been coded to -99, and I can see also that it knows that -99 is a missing value. All right, and so now my last step is that I want to save this as a .dat file, and I can either do this here, save as, and I want to say, oops, that's the wrong one. I actually have to go to the data file. There we go. File, save as, and I want to save it as a tab delimited file. I want to make sure I check this, or I should say I uncheck this, because we do not want to write the variable names to the file. And I could say kft.dat, and it goes directly to the right file. I can either save it right there or I can paste it. If I paste it, it goes right here, and it's actually exactly going to say exactly the same as what it says up here. And so I run it, and I now should have, yep, there it is. There's my data file. Let's take a look at it. Here it is. Okay, good. It has all the same values, including the -99s, and it does not have the variable names at the top of the file. Those are some basic instructions on how to create a .dat file that can be used in Mplus. So now I have entered into the Mplus interface again, and I have accessed the INP file. Let me just make sure you see how that is. I'm going back to my documents, Mplus Module 1, and there is one of my basic commands. So here is title, data, variable, and analysis. And in this case, I am running a basic analysis, and I'm going to just hit run. And we'll see a lot of the same types of output as we saw with the McNulty, but we do see now that we have some missing values. So we do have a missing data pattern. And there's some descriptives again. Now, these descriptives are calculated using full information maximum likelihood, and they will not match what we see in SPSS. So in order to check to make sure that your data is running correctly, you actually have to use the listwise deletion, which is similar to what we see in SPSS. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So instead of running the basic with no additional commands, I'm going to go into this other file, which is listwise deletion. And I say listwise equals on, and this command turns the full information maximum likelihood off. So now when I run it, it's going to give me means and variances that will match what I find in SPSS. Now, I'm not going to take the time right now, but you can take a look at the output file in SPSS, or you can run the syntax yourself, and you'll be able to see that these match what is in the SPSS. So let's talk about now some takeaways from this set of instructions. All right, so here's the document, Mplus Workshop 1 instructions. That's in Canvas, and here's today's takeaways. So the best practice for syntax writing suggests the use of comments. So the title command labels and describes the program, and any phrase can be commented out with an exclamation point at the beginning. Mplus can only read .dat files or something like that. I mean, they can do .csv files, but they cannot read an SPSS or an Excel file. Mplus needs instructions on the format of the .dat file, and if you provide no instructions on formatting, that communicates that it's free format. You must communicate to Mplus the rules for missing data. The best approach is to use a code such as -99. The code must not be an expected data value in your data. Do not include the variable names as the top row in the .dat file. You will need to tell Mplus the list of variable names in the variable command. You must read in and label all variables, but you do not need to use them all in your analysis. To indicate what you want to use, there is a subcommand called use. Analysis type equals basic provides basic statistics. The syntax and .dat files must be in the same folder, and if they are not, then you need to give the full path for the data in your data command. Mplus uses full information maximum likelihood estimation unless you indicate otherwise in your syntax. All right, that's it for Workshop 1, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for listening.